Last two evenings, Swami Bhuteshananda Maharaj, Vice President of the Ramakrishna Order, told us some of the reminiscences of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. He made 10 direct disciples among 16 of the Master and Holy Mother Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual concept. Scripture says the moments of the company of the holy saves a person as a ferry boat saves a person from the turbulent ocean of mind. Swami has great opportunity to be closely associated with the direct disciples, and he learned many things from them. Tonight he will tell us those personal reminiscences of those disciples. Last two evenings he covered Holy Mother, Swami Brahmananda, Swami Adbhutananda, Premananda, and Swami Suryananda. Tonight we will start with Swami Shivananda, Swami Saradananda, his guru, and Akhandananda and other direct disciples. Swami Bhuteshananda Maharaj, Vice President of the Ramakrishna Order.
Friends, I have been sharing with you my personal reminiscences along with the background in which I had the occasion to meet the great personalities. When I speak of them, naturally the setting in which I saw them, the light in which we look upon them, naturally comes in my mind. But I shall try to be brief because perhaps tonight is the last evening that I shall have the occasion to speak of the great spiritual giants who are beyond my comprehension. Still, I have to share with you my impressions about them when I had occasion to meet them. Now I have to take up Swami Shivananda Maharaj. You may be aware that the first president of the order was appointed by Swami Vivekananda himself, and then the next in turn to hold the office was Swami Shivananda. I have already referred to my meeting Swami Shivananda when I visited Belur Math off and on before I had joined the monastic order. And since then, I had contact with Swami Shivananda Maharaj on various occasions. I was a student at that time, studying in a school, but I had great desire to give up study and formally join the order, because I had this impression that regular studies, what is called secular study, does not seem to be of much value for monastic life. So with that impression, I wanted to give up my secular studies and join the order, and I approached Swami Shivananda Maharaj for his permission to join the order. But Swami Shivananda Maharaj, considering my age and inexperience, did not permit me to join immediately. He used to advise me to complete my study and then come to the order. But I was thinking that in study I do not like to waste my time. That was the idea.
He was asking which year? Which year he was asking?
Oh, it was, I think, first I met him in about 1917 or so. 1917 to 18, it's that time that we first began visiting Belur Math. Then when I was refused permission to join the order, I thought I should approach Swami Turiyananda Maharaj. I must have mentioned in the course of my reminiscence with him, because he was always giving emphasis on monastic life, the life of renunciation. So I thought he might permit me to join the order. At that time he did not know that if the head of the center does not agree, Swami Turiyananda Maharaj also would not agree. And I did not think of that at that time. However, I went on repeating my prayer that I may be permitted to join. When I used to visit Swami Shivananda, as I have already told you, he was the second president of the Ramakrishna Order. Of course, leaving out Swami Vivekananda himself, who did not formally accept the role, though he was the founder of the order. However, Swami Shivananda was approached several times, but the reply was the same: must complete your study. But we went on visiting him, and he used to send youngsters like me to another senior monk of the order, Jnan Maharaj, a brahmachari, whom Swamiji ordered to remain brahmachari throughout. So he did not get the monastic ordination, and remained a brahmachari. So the Swami Shivananda used to send us to him. He was very helpful to us youngsters to get acquainted with the order even before joining. He used to take us to the garden and work with him in the garden or do some various chores there, which just gave us the impression that even without joining formally, we are participating in the activity of the mutt. So that satisfaction I used to have. And then we became gradually quite familiar with all the senior Swamis. But about Swami Shivananda Maharaj, I had a little apprehension. What you may like to call it, awe or some fear complex, I do not know. But I was not very free with him, though he was always kind to everybody. Sometimes he used to speak bluntly without mincing matters when he did not like some action on the part of somebody. So that was the cause of this kind of fear. We don't know what mistake we make, and then we may be scolded. Perhaps that may be the feeling due to our immature experience at the time. Gradually, meanwhile I had taken initiation. I should put it the other way. I was graced with initiation by Swami Saradananda Maharaj, who was living in Kolkata in Holy Mother's house, which was not far from where I stayed. So I had more or less intimate contact with him, and he kindly gave me initiation. After that, when I knew Swami Shivananda Maharaj is always refused if I seek permission for admission in the order, I approached Swami Saradananda Maharaj, who was my guru, though we used to look upon all the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna in the same position as our guru. Though formal initiation was given by one of them, all were looked upon as in the position as our guru. Anyway, when I told Swami Saradananda Maharaj, when I expressed my desire to become ordained as a brahmachari, though at that time I was staying in an ashrama which was not formally affiliated to Belur Math, but the Swamis of the order were very familiar with us. They often used to visit that ashram. Sometimes they used to stay in that ashram also when it was necessary. So when I told Swami Saradananda Maharaj about my desire, he did not object, but he said, I do not give that initiation to brahmacharya myself here. You go to Swami Shivananda Maharaj and just express your desire. I said, I am afraid of him. He laughed and said, how is that? Then he was very considerate. He understood that it was simply just boyish feeling of fear to great people. So he told me, you approach Gyan Maharaj, tell him in my behalf he will take you to Swami Shivananda and introduce you to him and make the proposal for you. So I told Gyan Maharaj, and Gyan Maharaj took me straight to Swami Shivananda. By the way, I should mention in this connection that Gyan Maharaj was very familiar with all of us, but he did not generally encourage anybody to join the order immediately. He wanted that relation to be deep and maturity on the part of the recipient is necessary, so he usually did not encourage us. But when the command came from Swami Saradananda Maharaj, whom he held in great respect, not because of his being the General Secretary at the time being, not merely that, but as a great person, very much respected personality among the disciples, direct disciples. So he told me, he took me to Swami Shivananda and told him that I expressed my desire, and Swami Saradananda Maharaj had recommended him. So at once he agreed without raising any objection. But along with that agreement, there was one condition, that yes, you will be ordained as a brahmachari, but you will have to complete your studies. So I said, this is, of course, quite acceptable to me, because I wanted to join the order, and if my study, whatever time it may take, perhaps for graduation I needed another 2 years or so, they're all right. I at once prostrated before him, and then date was fixed when the brahmacharya will begin. So that was how I entered through a back door, as it were. That was in 1923. 23 years. 1923. So these years passed after that. And I was happy. So I was given brahmacharya, the status of a brahmachari, and with that I felt, and the order itself felt, that I was one of them, naturally. Then my study I had to continue. I don't know whether I was a good student or bad student. In spite of my dislike for continuing the study, perhaps I did not do very badly. So I had to complete the study. Then after graduation, one of the Swamis mentioned, will you not go for postgraduate? I felt shocked. I said, no, Maharaj, do not impose that thing on me. I am very impatient to join the order. It means I to renounce everything formally and stay in the Belur Math instead of having that sort of student life atmosphere. I didn't like it. So they did not persist any further. Thus I joined the Math. The very day my examination for graduation was completed, straight away from the examination hall I went to Math. Just I had been waiting for that opportunity, and the bitter pill somehow I swallowed that. However, then I was fully recognized as a brahmacharya at that time. Before that, you may be amazed to know that I used to attend my college in brahmachari dress. People would say they would taunt you and do ridicule you, etc. But it never happened. Nobody taunted me. For one reason, I was not half-hearted in my study, and therefore nobody taunted. Except one of the professors, to make you laugh, I say, one of the professors once told me, just calling me by the college name, "Are you extremely anxious for liberation?" I said, "No, sir, I don't think so." Then he understood my attitude and said, "But at least you think you should be." "Of course, sir, that I do. I should be anxious for it, but I don't think as yet I am not as anxious as I should be." He understood, then did not just try to tease me any further. So that was how the college life ended, and full-fledged monastic life began. Even before that, whenever there used to be vacation, straight I would live in the mott. Unless it was absolutely necessary for me to join the college, I would not go there. And always attraction towards the mott was there continuously in me. That way, after examination, I joined. Then, my training, full-fledged training in the monastery began. And that under the headship of Swami Shivananda Maharaj, who was living there always. I mentioned how Swami Shivananda Maharaj used to conduct the affairs of the mott. Oh, I did not perhaps. I did not mention before you. I had not taken up Swami Shivananda as yet. Swami Shivananda Maharaj was the head of the monastery, as also the president of the order. His routine was always to meet all the monks, senior or junior, every day, early in the morning at 4 o'clock, when the shrine room opens. At that time he used to go to the shrine room and sit there for meditation. He used to carry one asana, a seat for himself, and then spread there in the shrine room. At the time temple was not yet built. There was a room, spacious room for the puja worship room. And there he used to sit for meditation. We also used to sit there. And the meditation continued, usually for 2 hours in the morning. After that, he would come back to his room, and then the monks one by one came and prostrated before him, and he began inquiring about them, about their health, about the affairs of the mott in detail, to one by one. In that way, he would get all information about the mott for the day. for the past, say, days or what was the condition in the morning, he understood. Sometimes during that meeting, he would just mention about some of the monks who had got indisposed. Particularly, he used to ask about them to ascertain whether proper treatment has been accorded and diet provided, etc. Not only from other monks, but from the Swami who was a doctor there, in charge of all patients there. Especially from him, he made enquiries and came to know about the matter. Meanwhile, he used to take his breakfast, but that did not preclude us from going there and paying our respects to him. He was open to everybody. Then after that, he used to go out for some time, strolling about in the compound of the mott. That way he used to go to the kitchen garden, to the flower garden, then to the cow shed, and ascertain whether the cows are being properly attended to. And this whole mott area he would visit at that time. After that, he would come to the place where the kitchen, near the kitchen, where vegetables were being dressed, he saw and inquired what things are to be offered to Sri Ramakrishna. That he inquired in the morning also, when the Swami in charge of the kitchen department went there. He would ask what offerings are to be made to Sri Ramakrishna. If he liked, he would change some menu a little, suggest the changes. That way we had all the information brought to him. Another thing I forgot to tell you, that the Belur Math, the head monastery, was situated in an area which was extremely malarial, full of malaria infection there. Mosquitoes were a lot of mosquitoes there, and they were the carriers of the malaria germs. And many used to fall ill. And in the neighborhood there were very poor people. Mostly they were Muslims. And he would inquire about them, because they depended solely upon the math for their treatment and also for their diet. They were too poor to procure for themselves these things. So he would ask the doctor, Swami, about them also, and know how the conditions of those patients are, and whether proper medicine and diet have been provided to them. So that was also he used to inquire about. Then he used to sit in the courtyard. I told you about the room where the vegetables were being dressed. There in the courtyard there was a bench. He would come and sit there on the bench. And then he would be absorbed in meditation there in that sitting posture. Whenever we found Swami Shivananda Maharaj not preoccupied with anything, he was in that mood of meditation. So he would meditate there again. And then after that he would return to his room One day it so happened that he was meditating seated on the bench when a Swami went to pay his respects to him. He did bow down at the feet of Swami Shivananda Maharaj. Meanwhile, Swami Shivananda Maharaj got up and wanted to go to his room. He started, did not see the Swami, bowed down at his feet and he stumbled there. Then he scolded the Swami that why did you bow down at that time? Anyway, he went to his room. I used to massage his body at that time, in the morning and in the evening according to doctor's advice. So I started massaging him. Swami Shivananda Maharaj mentioned casually that I scolded the Swami, but it was not his fault. How could he know that I was not seeing anything at that time? That was a strange thing for us. Though he was with wide open eyes, he was in that meditative mood and did not see the things before him. That is the mood that you will not find in ordinary persons. A great spiritual soul can have that sort of indrawn mind and senses. Even with open eyes, they do not see things outside. We had to learn that at that time. Then after that, he used to take bath and attend to some dictating letters, etc., correspondence, etc. In this way, the program continued. Then Swamis who wanted to discuss with him something would come and converse with him, and this way went on. Afterwards, it comes, then gradually meal time comes. Meal time, usually our monastery had our lunch at about 11:30 or so. Between 11:30 and 12 noon. He would have his lunch, but before that, the offering that was fruits when offered at the shrine were sent to him also as sacred food, fruits only. He used to take that, but at that time he would particularly note whether the fruits have been properly dressed or not before offering. So when I was working in the shrine room for preparation of the offerings, I had to be very extra cautious that everything has been properly dressed. Otherwise, he would be extremely annoyed. Then later on, he would take meal, take rest a little, and then again devotees would come and talk to him. He was always available at that time. There was no bar to people, devotees meeting him at that time. And next point, in the afternoon, we used to have some scripture class. He used to give us great encouragement for deep study of the scriptures. In order to encourage us, when a, an Upanishad called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. When that class started, he himself came and attended the class with us. We felt extremely shy because of his presence. We felt it awkward that in his presence we cannot freely discuss things. After a few days he understood that and then stopped going to the class. But we had to give him the report of what we studied on that day. Each day we had to give report to him. So he was so particular about our study of scriptures. Then after that, in the evening, there used to be many people attending, meeting him at that time. People from outside also used to come and specially used to come and meet him. In this way, his whole day's work was centered around the service to Sri Ramakrishna and looking after the mott. When he visited in the morning cowshed, he used to specially inquire about the condition of the cattle there, and he would like to feed them with his own hand at times, almost daily. When he used to come to the courtyard, as I mentioned at that time, from the kitchen store, things were taken to him and he used to feed the cows there with his own hand. That way he was very fond of the cows. And then he was very fond of his pet dogs. There were 2 dogs who were his pet. And he used to mention, "This is my dog, and I am his dog," pointing to the shrine room. "I am the dog of Sri Ramakrishna, and this is my dog, and this is Ramakrishna's dog." He used to mention like that. And always his attention was fixed on the correct service of Ramakrishna. He used to tell us that so far as the puja is concerned, all offerings are to be made with love, devotion. Whatever the chanting of the mantras are prescribed, you may do it in your own way, but never should it be without that mood of love and offering, that service to Sri Ramakrishna. His living presence is there. It is not that you are offering simply to a symbol, to a picture. No. You remember that his living presence is there. He always felt that way. Now I have told you that he was very attentive towards our study, study of scriptures. It so happened once when Swami Shivananda Maharaj was not present at Belur Math, he had gone outside for visiting other centers. I thought of going to Benares, the seat of our culture, spiritual culture, where great scholars were there. So I wanted to study under some renowned scholar there. And I approached Swami Saradananda Maharaj for his permission to go there for studying the scriptures. Swami Saradananda Maharaj rightly mentioned that you are at Belur Math, so you write to Swami Shivananda Maharaj and seek his advice and his permission. So I wrote to Swami Shivananda. Shivananda Maharaj, Swami Shivananda wrote back, there is a good scholar of the scriptures in Belur Math itself, so why not study under him? For special study to go to Benares is not necessary, because it is not our business to be great grammarians or scholars in that sense. What is necessary is close acquaintance with Vedanta as such. So it is not necessary for you to go to Benares. I gave up that idea. So I mention this because though he encouraged study, at the same time he knew how to restrain a person from going out of the way. That is, study for scholarship only was not recommended. A monk's study will be solely for getting familiar with the spiritual way of life. And that way his encouragement was limited to that only, not for mere scholarship, which has very little to do with the life as such. In that way, he was attentive that no member of the Math should in that way just simply go for scholarship or any kind of secular activity without remembering the monk's life and its duties. But he was very much attentive to our convenience and inconveniences also. These are small things, but I remember them because they created deep impression on my mind. One day while massaging him, it was summer, and I was perspiring. A drop of sweat fell on his legs. He at once understood and said, "Oh, you are tired." I said, "No, sir, I am not tired. It is because of the heat that perhaps the perspiration came. I am sorry for that." But then he was very particular that nobody should be troubled because of him. Then I pass on to another incident which made deep impression in my mind. He was suffering from various diseases, and a doctor specialist from Calcutta used to treat him, and his treatment showed good results. One day I went to get medicine from that doctor to Calcutta. In those days, the way to Calcutta was, though not a long distance, traveling was very inconvenient. No communication, the proper communication between the two places. So when I went in the afternoon, the doctor was not at home, so I had to wait for him. And when I returned from that place, it was already dark, evening had set in, and Swami Shivananda was anxiously making enquiries about my return. When I entered the precincts of Belur Math, the Swamis told me, "You run up to Swami Shivananda's room and tell him that you have arrived. He is very anxiously making enquiries about you." I ran to his room. Then he said, "Oh, you are very late." I said, "Maharaj, used to address him as Maharaj, everybody. Seniors are addressed like that. The doctor was not present there, so I had to wait for the medicine, for doctor's return. He got annoyed. So why? The doctor is giving trouble. I won't take his treatment anymore. And we were very much anxious what to do. The doctor is a devotee and he does his work of service with humility and reverence. So we sent word to the doctor, you come and pacify Swami. Otherwise it will be difficult for us to persuade him to take your medicine. Then doctor came immediately and with folded hands begged his pardon, saying, Sir, it was not my fault, I was not there. But Swami said, you do not manufacture the medicine, you give prescription, we shall get it from elsewhere. The doctor said with folded hands, yes sir, I know that. But please do not deprive me from this opportunity of serving you. With such humility and earnestness, the doctor mentioned this, that Swami was at once pacified. I said, don't trouble our Swamis then. That's how he was very anxious that I did not come before nightfall, so I must have had some great inconvenience in coming from Calcutta. That way. Last thing, my goodness. Last thing, once I had a great desire to go to a holy place and stay there, living the life of an ascetic, living on alms. But at the same time, the other idea also troubled me, that if I leave Belur Math and go there, I shall miss the opportunity of rendering direct service to Swami Shivananda Maharaj. That was another consideration. I could not understand, could not come to the decision as to which course would be better. The presence of the great sage or going to the place of pilgrimage for ascetic life. When I could not make any decision myself one day, with great hesitation, I told him, Maharaj, this is the idea that is troubling me. I feel an urge to go to some holy place and exclusively devote my time to ascetic practices, while the other consideration that I shall thereby miss this opportunity of serving you. These two ideas, a dilemma, I can't decide which is good for me. Swami Shivananda Maharaj was then lying in his bed. He sat up on the bed and said, yes, you must go. When that urge comes, it should never be missed. It should never let go. Yes, you must go. He used to repeat a question, repeat that word. Whenever he used to emphasize that, he used to say, twice or thrice he repeated, you must go. And then he gave me all encouragement and said, in order to be ready for that sort of life, retirement in solitude, you must practice meditation deeply here, so that you may be ready to utilize that place, your stay there. So that preparation starts from here itself. And then for the next few days he used to always encourage me that way. And then he told me, but your health is not very good, so I'm thinking which place will suit you. You also think about it and let me know. I, of course, need not think when he was thinking himself. So at last he decided go to Benares. And there were places where one could live exclusively in some solitary place, devoting his time to austere practices. And he said there is a hospital there, our hospital is. If you fall ill, they will take care of you. And she wrote a letter to the head of the hospital. This boy is going, please take care of him and see that he doesn't suffer from any inconvenience, physical or otherwise. So I was blessed heartily and I went there. Then my life there in the Himalayas began. For about 2 years I stayed there. Then next point, when after 2 years I returned, meanwhile Swami Shivananda Maharaj had that illness aggravated, and I found him on my return to be much reduced and very ill. So I could not say anything. I simply stood there looking at him and thinking what a condition we have. When I left, he was in good health, and now he is practically reduced like anything. Then he said, "Oh, my boy, what are you looking at? This body, it will go, but I am very happy." He would repeat that word, "I am very happy." So that is how my contact with him. There are many other things, but I have already consumed all my time. Then later on, another time also I had been to Uttar, then returned, and then I heard he was very unwell. At that time I was in a study circle, studying his philosophy and scriptures. At the news of his deteriorating health condition, we came back, saw him, he survived that attack. Then after 2 years he passed. Now during that period, or during my stay with him, we had naturally very close intimacy with him, and I immensely benefited by being in proximity with such a great spiritual giant. It gave a tone to everybody's spiritual practices in the monastery, and that can never be forgotten. I took more time than I should have done as usual with me, but I cannot touch the other points, that is, the other disciples. Already it is late, my time is up. So excuse me for that. Anna.
Few words for three monks.
Anyhow, Swami said the Reminiscences of Swami Shivananda, the second president of the Ramakrishna Order. He was a Nora Brahman, an illumined soul. You see, many times I told people that everything is not in the book. The way Swami graphically described his early days in the monastery, I was closing my eyes, I was visualizing the monastery and the Swami, and I was watching how austere life they led at that time and how comfortable life we lead now. I read in the Wisdom of the Desert Fathers that early Christian ascetics, how they led the life. They say the two great obstacles in the spiritual life are easygoing life and vain glory. Easygoing life and vain glory. These are the two greatest obstacles of spiritual life. Sometimes it comforts, ruins spiritual life. Sometimes voluntarily we cultivate some kind of austerity, some kind of discipline. That Swami described that, that in the beginning you need some kind of preparation to get that kind of spiritual experience. Otherwise one cannot withhold it. We cannot hold it. So we did not get chance to hear his days in the Uttarkashi, in the Himalayas, how austere life he led. You see, that brings tremendous willpower, strength, dependence on God, without carrying any money, only paying anything. Just completely depend on God. How can a person live in the Himalayas? Begging once a day some food, that's it. It is not so easy. Anyhow, we learn some of his experiences, and that is the way we learn from others' experiences also. Anyhow, tomorrow at 10:30, Swami will speak on what is Vedanta. He has vast experience, and he is very humble to say he is one of the greatest scholars of our Ramakrishna Order. He will tell us what is Vedanta tomorrow. So good night everybody. Swami will leave on Monday and in the morning for Chicago. Yes?
Swami, I had a little question. I had seen Belur Math in this early 60s. It was already austere. In the 20s it was more austere. From what he says, there is great attraction. What was it that attracted him? Is it possible for him to say one word or two?
What is it?
What type of attraction you felt at that time, then we feel right now. What type of attraction in Belur Math it was during your time? That you must know.
The attraction for a spiritual aspirant can be only that there are people who are living that life, and in their company I shall also have the desire strengthened and the path also more enlightened. That was the attraction. Spirituality was vibrant, as it were, in the monastery, that we felt that way. And our mere stay there would have benefited us. That was the idea. And we felt that way. In the presence of the great saints as Ramakrishna's direct disciples, where else could we have that opportunity? So that was the great attraction that we used to have towards Belur Math, and even now we used to have that attraction to Belur Math because it is the place from where a great spiritual wave has arisen and is being spread everywhere. That is the great attraction, only spiritual, nothing else. Nothing else means perhaps we may be doing some service in secular sense also from Belur Math, but that is only another expression of that spiritual life. Because Swami Vivekananda has mentioned time and again that our twin ideals are blended together, Atmana Mokshartam Jagadditas, for the liberation of the self and for the good of the world. These two aspects are blended together, and Belur Math has the distinction of having accepted that, adapted that as a way of life, and that has molded and is molding the lives of people who joined then and who are joining now also.
Anyhow, we shall not ask him to talk more. He's 87. I said that we shall not ask you to come any more questions. You are 87.
And
You are 87, so we shall not ask you to more.
I should not have been 87.
Anyhow, I cannot express my joy to you that it is a great opportunity to have him here, especially during our Golden Jubilee year. It is a great privilege that we could have him in our midst. Please come.
So I thank you all for just kindly attending the evenings when I had opportunity to reminisce on the lives of the great saints, and I pray for their blessings on all of you. Thank you.